So do you still not feel well?
Okay, we're ready.
Okay. Would you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the States of America and to the republic for indivisible with liberty and justice.
Thank you for joining us today. Our first order of business is to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next, we'll take up the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless otherwise noted. Is there anything that needs to be moved?
Madam President, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. Motion passes. On the regular agenda, we have one item, and it's the fiscal year 2019 second quarter impact fee loan balance update. And we'll have a presentation by staff.
Good afternoon, Madam President. Christine Tandler, Budget Coordinator. I'm here for an information briefing on the second quarter loan balance of the impact fee program. We began fiscal year 19 at 16.6 million. At the end of March, we have an $11.5 million loan balance. The loan balance projection at its high was in 2013 was at $50 million. We're looking at a loan balance payoff, in about 2021. Some of the main impact fee projects for FY19 to date are State VMP and then the Cole Road and Franklin Road construction project that's going on. The extraordinary impact fee balance is positive 1.16 million. That's related to a lot of the development that's happening in the West Foothills area. One of the changes that happened in the second quarter of 2019 is that there's no longer the 10% property tax match for impact fees. That went into effect on January 1st in accordance with Ordinance 231A that was adopted in December. I will stand for any questions.
Are there any questions on this item?
Madam President, could you just put that first slide up again? Okay, minus
This one?
16 plus 9 minus 3 for 11. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, this is not an item that requires any action, so thank you for the presentation. The only other item we have is public communications, and I see we have a couple of folks who have signed up to speak to the Commission in Public Communications. Rudy Weishoff, did I get your name right? And George, are you coming up together or separately, or how do you want to do this? Together. Okay, you have the floor. Just please state your name and address for the record, please. And I do need to let you know that because we don't have anything formally on the agenda as an action item, we can listen to whatever your concern is, but we will not be able to act on it today.
Okay,
Okay?
I'm Rudy Weishaupt, and I own property at 1390 North Cole and 7318 West Maxwell. The Highway District changed the intersection at Fairview and Cole, which no longer allowed people to enter the Albertsons Shopping Center when they're heading south on Cole Road from Fairview. And as a result, we're getting people making U-turns wherever they can. It just so happens that Maxwell Street is the first street you can turn left into the Combs Acre subdivision, and so people will make U-turns in my office parking lot, front and back, in the house next door, all up and down Maxwell Street. There's also a church just north of us where they make U-turns, and also there's a sign, there's a median and a sign that says no U-turns right on Cole Road, and they make U-turns right there as well. The highway district, their plan was to make everybody make a U-turn at Fairview and Cole, head back east on Fairview and turn into Albertsons that way, but it's either too short of a turn for many vehicles, or people just can't figure it out. And over a year's gone by now, and we're still getting the brunt of the traffic day and night. And so there happens to be this big median, which has room for 4 to 5 cars sitting in the middle of Cole Road. And if that was opened up and allowed people to go back into Albertsons, I've interviewed at least 35 people, and that's where they want to go, is Albertsons. And this happens to be cement sitting on top of asphalt, so it could be easily taken out and changed so that, and there's already a entry into Albertsons right there, so it's an easy fix.
I think that's at the southernmost entry into Albertsons. Is that
Yes.
where you're looking at? Yeah.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yep.
Good afternoon. My name is George Weisbeck. I live at 7208 Maxwell Drive, which is east, the end of the block from Mr. Weishaupt. I've lived there over 30 years, and what has happened since the change of the intersection, there's a sign posted that says dead end, but sometimes people don't read them or don't pay attention. So they come to the end of the street. Fortunately, it's wide enough that they can turn. I think by human emotions, they're upset. So when they return, I've noticed quite a few cars that pick up speed. It's an older neighborhood. We have some kids and grandkids. The safety of those people speeding back towards Cole Road gives me some concern. And at times I've spoken to my neighbors, and we stood out in the street and we looked to the west at Maxwell Drive and Cole. And I'm not being facetious, but quite honestly, if you was there for 15 minutes, you would see at least a half a dozen cars making U-turn on Cole itself or coming into the subdivision. And I would even suggest if you set up a camera for one day, you'll get the brunt of the impact that has on our particular subdivision. So I thank you for your time.
Okay, I'm gonna suggest that, who on staff would be the person for these gentlemen to speak with, to have you go out and take a look at the situation and evaluate it? Mr. Inselman, would you please give them your contact information? And we'll have staff take a look at it and see if there are some solutions. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else who would like to address the commission in public communications today? Please come on up and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Michael Gilliland. I live at 3319 South Island Fox Avenue in Eagle. I'm here with several others that want to address the commission regarding our traffic calming requests. First, I'd like to thank John Wasson for working with us for about a year on studies, and recently Commissioner Mary May for discussing the issues with me and inviting me to this meeting. Also like to thank Eagle PD for monitoring our situation in the subdivision and enforcement, and Eagle City Council for recognizing that there is a problem in our subdivision. Our subdivision's located at the intersect of Chinden and Linder near Fred Meyer. And you enter the development at Bergman. We've got 191 homes in our subdivision. We signed a petition that I turned in yesterday with approximately 143 out of 191 that are in support of traffic calming measures in our subdivision. The primary concern is safety of residents, children in particular. The two central issues are safety and speed in our subdivision. And we believe that it's imperative that we have support from ACHD to take action to mitigate these two central problems sooner than later. The way I see it, we have a perfect storm situation that exists, and we don't need to wait until something happens before we take some action to mitigate. At this point, Bergman has become essentially a drag strip. It's a straight shot all the way from Chinden until you hit Temple. There's a slight curve, and I'm going to let the others here finish up with other segments of our points. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Aaron, Aaron Reimers, Reimers. I live in this subdivision as well, 4235 West Gray Fox Street. So I'm real close to the action here. So just to kind of piggyback on what Mike was saying, we've got one 25 mile per hour sign on Bergman. That's the main area of concern. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of traffic that's been diverted from Fred Meyer especially, and they use our subdivision entrance for both exit and entrance. And so we've got an inordinate amount of traffic. In addition to that, nobody wants to follow that 125 mile per hour sign. We do not have any type of slow signs either. You know, we recently had Eagle Police Department place a speed wagon, and they did record speeds as high as 60 miles per hour. We've got lots of personal examples of people almost getting clipped by speeders. And it's surpassed kind of a homeowners association problem where it's really a public safety concern for anybody that is using that thoroughfare. So again, like what Mike said, we're looking for your support for some sort of traffic calming measure, whether that be you know, a type of vertical deflection like a hump or a bump. Eagle City PD has done all that they can with enforcement. They have stopped quite a bit of people. And we are honestly looking for probably something more than just a slow down sign. Some of the literature that I've read says that signs kind of lose efficacy over time. Vertical deflections do not. And on average, they receive about a 40% reduction in speeds. And we, with the several studies that ACHD did and that Eagle PD did, we saw a greater than 50% average in speed over our posted speed limit. So I guess to come back to the fundamental issue, it's speeding in our neighborhood. It's the second issue too is the lack of courtesy from people, running stop signs, the overload of traffic from the businesses that are just adjacent to our neighborhood. And so, again, what Mike said, we'd really love your support and just looking for input from you guys on how we should proceed. But at this point, it's become a major concern for everybody that's using this roadway. And I will let the other members of the HOA speak to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brittany Sailors, Brittany, Sailors, Sailors. I live at 2927 South Bergman Way in the same development. And on top of the issues that have been mentioned thus far, we very much have a right-of-way issue problem in our neighborhood. When the development was originally established, Bergman was really the only way in and out of the neighborhood. Since then, Temple, which there's an intersection at Temple and Bergman, has also been punched through to Linder. So now traffic will cut through from Linder onto Bergman to avoid the light at Chinden and Linder. And the intersection at Temple and Bergman is now a major issue with right-of-way. It's only a two-way stop at present, where Bergman can proceed through the intersection. They don't have to stop at Temple and Bergman. And it's creating a big problem, especially since that's where the bus stops every morning. We've got the bus stops on Temple, where there is a stop sign, and you have people going through the intersection, even though there's a bus stop there, with kids crossing over Bergman where traffic does not stop for them. And I'm there every morning with my child watching it. I won't let my kids walk to the bus stop by themselves for that reason, because of how dangerous it is. I personally will come to a stop at that intersection even though I don't have to. I live right on Bergman. I have the right of way. I don't have to stop, and I will, because people will just come right through the intersection thinking it's a four-way stop. They'll make a California stop and proceed right on through without even looking. So I now treat it as a four-way stop because of that. So I'd really recommend that be a priority for ACHD, to look at the speed volumes on Temple now that the road goes through and that construction of the neighboring communities is complete. So I'd like that to also be added to your consideration. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right,
you.
thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann Spiegel, and I live at 4218 West Sly Fox, also in Foxtail. One of the things, my main concern are the children that are crossing every morning, every afternoon, going to, crossing Bergman, going to their school bus stop. And also our community pool is across Bergman. We have no crosswalks. We have no flags, we have nothing, and those people, as they said, are mostly speeding. One of the things that I'm concerned about also is that crosswalks by themselves are not a deterrent. I had a daughter who was struck in a crosswalk many years ago. She suffered a traumatic brain injury, lived for 5 years, and died as a result of that accident. So crosswalks are not just by themselves a deterrent. The other things I wanted to share is that on Gray Fox, where the stores are Costa Vida, Blaze, and Blaze Pizza, and I forget the other ones. Anyway, traffic is being, as they said, is being diverted from the Fred Meyer exit through Gray Fox. I sat on my neighbor's patio, whose her patio is right facing that corner, and we're there for an hour on Saturday night. Not one person out of 30 to 40 cars stopped at that stop sign. Not one. Some of them didn't even look to see if there was traffic coming south on Bergman. So people are driving crazy. The other issue is that the only left turn onto Chinden is off of Bergman. There is no light, there is nothing. People are backing up. People have turned left into what I call the suicide lane. I don't know what anybody else calls it, the middle lane. And I've seen twice, I saw people actually turn into the westbound lane to go east. I was like a crazy person, like, talking and telling them to move over. There was luckily no traffic at that moment, but there could have been a major accident. People, because of that left turn, are then coming out of that Gray Fox where the stores are, going left onto Bergman without even looking to see if there's traffic coming right off of Chinden, going to Temple and going out, right on Temple out to Meridian Road, because there is a light there. So that also has increased the traffic in our area. So we're really asking for some help in that area. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, is there anyone else? Yes, please come on up. Is this on the same topic?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
I'm actually, my name is Jan Reardon. I live right across the street from Costa Vida. I'm the first house as you're turning into Bergman off of Chinden.
And what's the address?
And I've been awake since 4 o'clock.
What's the address? We need that.
Oh, my address is 3455 South Island Fox Avenue.
Thank you.
I live next to Aaron. I told him when I came in, I've been awake since 4 a.m. because of the big trucks coming through Fred Meyer or wherever it is. I had 7 trucks from 4 to 5 o'clock. big trucks coming through there and they're not supposed to, so. It's like living in a busy city, and we shouldn't be like that. So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, come on up. Yeah, I'll let you come back up, but you need to state your name and address again.
Gilliland, 3319 South Island, Fox Avenue, Eagle. Some of the studies, both the study by Eagle PD and ACHD are pretty consistent with volume. Just for instance, from 12 to 1, there were 318 cars that used Bergman during that 1 hour period. That's a lot of traffic for a subdivision. And if you look at the graph, it's in the hundreds for other times during the day at peak times. I just wanted to make sure that I made the point about the volume. I think that's about it. But some of the things that we're looking at for potential solutions are stop signs, crosswalks, electronic signs indicating speeds, chicaning, which was brought up by Eagle PD when we went to the city council meeting, speed humps, and we're actually interested in a graduated approach, not just going with speed humps right off. To be honest, some people aren't in favor of it. We know it works. It's a deterrent, it's not a solution by itself. The other thing that I'm aware of, or I've been told, is that stop signs are not used to slow down traffic. It's an access issue. But I would put forth that it is an access issue, even though the volume isn't there, just for kids getting across the street. I cross the street to walk to Fred Meyer's. You're taking your life in your hands, even if there isn't a lot of traffic. There's no hesitation for most people to stop. We need something to slow them down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam-
Mr. May, did you have a question?
He answered it. I was
He did? Okay.
more solution-based. Thank you.
All right, and as I stated at the beginning of public communications, because this is not an agenda item, we cannot take any action today. We can, however, have staff work with you. I believe you've been working with John Wasson, and then he would need to bring it to the commission for formal action if it's not something that can be handled by staff. But thank you for bringing your concerns to us today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right, is there anyone else? Seeing none, meeting adjourned.